Good evening and welcome to the Man United Agenda. I'm joined by Dora and Jay, and we're discussing all things Manchester United and trying to solve a few problems out there. Yes, welcome to the Man United Agenda. It's a special Friday today because we've got two wonderful guests. Start with you, Dora, all the way from Croatia, one of the fans' favourites right now on the channel. Welcome back. How have you been, Dora?
Oh, I've been great in my private life, but sports side of it, it's miserable. I hate it here, but we are all in this. We are all in this together. So, yeah.
And you've seen the game this week, haven't you? You've seen the game on the weekend, Man City,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
saw.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to get onto that. And big up to Jay. Welcome back. You've been hiding from us, I imagine. No, you've been very busy, I know. Jay, you've probably spoken about all of Man United all this week, but you've got to finally finish off on a Friday with us and have the final words about what's going on. So welcome, Jay. How are you?
Yeah, it's good to be back, man. I feel like I've not been on the channel for ages, and it's always good to come back on and see how you guys have grown. And, you've gone that way, and the team have gone that way. So I don't know what that says.
It's been a long time for sure. I mean, look, everyone's been waiting for you to come on. We've been publicising it all week, so this is something positive.
No pressure on me then.
No, not at all, not at all. As you know, Solo's not around. Mr. B's not around today either, but they send their regards, and it's going to be us three going in today. We're going to try and solve a few problems, or just dig a little deeper and see what's going on with Manchester United at the moment. Just going to go through a few comments before we start. I want to say hi to Big T, and he's saying Bath Time is the greatest narrator since David Attenborough. Yeah, he does speak well, doesn't he? Jeff's saying here, 4 likes, very good stuff. Can't wait for this one today. Could be better than tomorrow's match. Pessimism. Big up to Big T. He's a new member. Thank you, Big T. Appreciate that, bro. Big up to Rebel as well. Says have a good evening. Hello, Stephanie Griffiths. Need me big like Serge tonight, please, people. The legend Jay Motty is in the house. Legend. You hold that title, okay? Yes. You're doing a lot. Big. Well, who we got? We got Solo in the house. Let's give Solo away. How you doing, Solo? Your man Jay is on again, no doubt about it.
How come he's not on then? If he's in the chat, how come he's not on the video? He's mad with me. He's asked me to come on here, saying, "Come on the channel. We're not seeing you for ages. We really miss you. Come back on." I can't come on. I can't come on, Jay. I'm busy. I've got something to do. And then he's in the chat watching us.
You know what he would say? He's going to say he's revising, but obviously he's taking a break.
Revising.
Yeah. Big up, Solo. Anyway, Zoe Media House in the house as always. And Big T saying here, Casemiro out until February. Him and Varane done. I'm here. Varane could be gone in Jan. Is Casemiro out? Is that news?
He's out. I don't know February. He's out for several weeks. If it is February, forgive me. I didn't get the exact dates. I just thought it was. I don't know. Probably is something like that. I don't know. Was it 6 or 7 weeks? I can't remember. But yeah, he's out for a little while anyway. So certainly out for the foreseeable. So I don't know. There's rumours into that because Varane was linked with a move to Saudi in the summer, wasn't he? Quite heavily, and he came out more or less said that he didn't want to move, that he still wanted to stay at United. Obviously, what is he, 30? So he's not the sort of age you'd expect someone usually to go to Saudi. No disrespect to Saudi League, but a player like Rafael Varane, who's won 4 Champions Leagues, the World Cup, La Ligas, and all the rest of it, you think he's still got something left to offer. But the injuries just seems to be catching up with him.
Right? I was going to ask you, Jay, Dora, how do you feel about that? If Varane does leave, are you going to be gutted, or do you think that the injuries and overall balance of his time at Man United hasn't been as successful as we maybe anticipated?
I mean, he's our best centre back. He's our Rolls Royce. So that's without a doubt. And I would be sad if he goes. But I mean, the best. How you said, perk of a player is him being available non-stop, being consistent, and unfortunately we cannot get 3 games in a row from Varane at this moment, and this club is in crisis, and when we need him, we really need him, and we need our best players to get us out of the gutter, and if this continues, I think we should move on. Unfortunately, I would be gutted because I think he is a really, really good player. I would say one of the few that could be considered at times world class, in my opinion. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I think he hasn't been the great player that I thought he would be. And I don't think we miss him that much when he's not around. I think there's other players. When I look around the Premier League, I think there's other players that are performing well. And yeah, I'm just not sure about him. His passing range is not great, and the injury records is not the best either. So if he did leave and we got some money for him at his age as well, I wouldn't really be making protests or anything like that. Jay, your thoughts on Varane?
I kind of agree a little bit. I think on his day he can be world class. Dora, I get that point.
Yeah.
I still feel like, for me, I think when he's fit, I think our best centre back is Lisandro Martinez. I think he's the one that makes that defence tick, and I think we've missed him massively this season. I'm just having a quick look here on Varane's injury record since he arrived at Old Trafford, and the amount of games he's missed. And forgive me for going into stats. I'm usually not the stat guy. I just thought it just sort of flagged it up. I thought I'll have a little look here. So obviously he came in 21-22. In October he missed 3 games with a groin injury. Then in November he missed 11 games for us and France. It doesn't differentiate, but he was out for 50 days with a hamstring injury. Yep. Then in February, he missed 1 game with abdominal problems. Then another game in March with coronavirus. Then 3 games in April, muscular problems. Then this season, he missed... last season, forgive me. He missed 1 game with an ankle sprain, 7 games with a leg injury, another 7 games in May with a foot injury, and then so far this season he's missed 4 games with an unknown injury. I mean, you look at that, and Dora said there, the best ability is availability, as the saying goes. And for me, the one position that you can't keep rotating, you can't have a player who's constantly injured, is centre-back. You can get away with it. If you've got a winger, right, if you've looked at those matches that Raphael Varane missed, if that's a winger who misses, say, 1 out of every 3 games, but when he plays, he scores goals and creates chances, you think, okay, that's not the end of the world. But for centre-back, you know this better than anyone, Amanda, you have to have some sort of relationship with your centre-back partner. You have to have a relationship with your goalkeeper, a relationship with your defensive midfielder. You have to have that stability. And if you're constantly rotating, you don't have any of that. Now, I love Varane. When he's on it, he's mint. He is. Dora hit nail on the head. He's a Rolls-Royce defender. You don't get given 4 Champions Leagues. You don't get given a World Cup and get to another World Cup final just by luck. You've got to have something about you to do that. He's an absolutely fantastic defender. The issue you've got is he's getting injured all the time. And then some games when he comes back, it'll take him a game or 2 to get back into his rhythm. You can't have that. You can't. Now, if Varane were to stay fit, say between now and the end of the season, I'd want to see him play every game, and I'd say don't let him go anywhere. But I don't see that happening. And I think the club might have to make a decision and go, look, if we were to let him go, if we were to get a bit of money for him, could we go out and get a centre-back who plays week in, week out? Let's be honest, right? If in the summer, let's say Saudi had gone, we'll give you 55 million for Raphael Varane. And we'd have took that money, and it's a hypothetical within a hypothetical. We'd have took that money and we'd have bought Kim Min-jae. Would we be better off now than with Kim Min-jae than Raphael Varane? I think we would. Now, I know, obviously, Bayern wanted him, that might have been an option for Kim Min-jae. But my point is, I just don't know how much you can rely on Raphael Varane. I don't think Raphael Varane is the same player that he was at Real Madrid, or even he's been for United. It seems to be a constant merry-go-round with injuries. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong, and I hope he has a great run in the side. But I think if he does carry on with these injuries and we do get an offer for him next summer, I don't think January is the one, next summer, then I think it might be time for him to move on.
Yeah, a couple of comments here about Varane. So Big T saying Varane is the French Martial who plays at the back. I think talk about the injury record there. UK Strange saying Varane.
He's a French Martial.
Yeah.
Isn't Martial French?
Exactly. What? His point was sharp. That went over my head.
Yeah. He's the French Martial. Like, you mean like he's a centre-back version of Martial, perhaps, or what? You know what I mean? Like,
that's more like it.
Martial's the French Martial.
Nothing gets past you, Jay. All right, here we go.
Sorry, I just don't let it slide. You don't let everything slide, yeah? And I'm just not that guy, yeah? I am not. horrible, pedantic guy will be like, hang on a minute.
Joe Media House saying, despite our issues, all our issues, it would never stop us being Man United fans. It's the only positive I can find. Dorian nodding there. Varane is a French wet wipe. Mr. Stickno, like his compatriot Martial again, not the French one.
Sailing a bit close to the wind with these. When you start putting the nationality before an insult, I always think it's a bit like, whoa, ropey here, on shaky ground.
Is there a reputation about like foreign? Back in the days, we had a reputation about foreign players being wet wipes, coming to the north of England and playing in the cold. They can't handle it. Martial still wears gloves, doesn't he?
Martial wears gloves. Martial, I've seen Martial on tour in Thailand with gloves on. Do you know what I mean? I've seen him in Australia with gloves on. It's nothing to do with the fact he's French. Like, I can't remember. I can't remember he had gloves on the tour, but he wears gloves all the time. I don't know. Martial's a bit different, though, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like, Eric Cantona's French, and would you compare them to? I don't think you can say that just because someone's from a country, they're a certain way. Do you know what I mean? Martial's just, he's built differently, and I don't know if that's a positive.
Big up to Jeff. Jeff, all the way from the USA, referee. He's saying Varane and Casemiro off to Saudi with Bruno off to a fan base that will appreciate his skill. 200 million for the free. He's saying, I don't know about Bruno. I'd want to keep him. We read that.
I mean, I wouldn't want to get rid of Bruno, but what was his price there? 200 million for the free.
For the free of them. So the deal is Jeff must be an agent now. He's saying Varane, Casemiro, and Bruno for 200 million for free players.
Mate, I tell you what, you'd be tempted, wouldn't you, with that one? That's hard to say. Considering United are the only club, right, I know, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, both of you, the only club, I think, in the world who've sold a player to Saudi Arabian team and took a loss with Alex Telles. I think we're the only club in the world that have done that. Like, genuinely, we're the only club that have sold a player to Saudi for less than we paid for him in Alex Telles.
Who's he referring to, Dora?
Alex Telles.
Alex Telles, yeah, he was one, yeah. Oh yeah, I mean that board is. Oh my god, I could go on for years. I will never forget them. Which I don't forget. Bad times. I forgive, but I don't forget. And Murto and Arnold and Fletcher. Oh my god, they are so bad in negotiations. It's insane. Ed Woodward, of course, as well. But I don't even want to think about him. The snake.
Why, OMONDI, why did you ask Dora to translate for me? Why did you say Dora? What's he saying? Why has Dora got to translate me? I know I'm a Mancunian, but you should be able to understand when I say Alex Telles, what I'm talking about.
Who you're referring to?
And you went, Dora, what's he saying?
Like, the player we sent to Saudi on a loss. So I was thinking, is that Ronaldo?
And then I said Telles. I went Telles, and you went, Dora, what's...
Yeah, he said it.
Yeah, but then you asked Dora to translate for you. You went, what's he saying?
To some people, Mancunian is the same as Croatian, so don't be surprised.
Well, there you go. Dora, what's OMONDI saying, Dora? I can't understand that. Those Cockneys. It's a different language. Do you know what I mean? They don't talk like we do.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Jeff, 200 million for free players. I think we'll take that on the panel here. Harry David, how you doing? He said, Jeff would be the only club to sell players to Saudi on the cheap. Just going back, what did Ronaldo go for? Did he go there for free? Oh, yeah, he was a free agent, wasn't he?
He was sacked, wasn't he? He was sacked.
He was
you can't sack someone and get money for him. He was more or less kicked out the door because of his interview. So, yeah, we didn't get any money for him. And the only other one I know, I think we've sold to Saudi has been Alex Telles. And I think we got like 4 million for him, and we bought him for 7 or whatever. So it's a loss.
Stephanie saying here, Varane and Martial, the French connection, bring back Evra and Cantona, quantum leap needed. That's what you're saying here. Big G is saying here, sorry, I'm not going to read that one. Here's one question. Let's talk about Nice, top of the league and unbeaten, with him being linked to us. Is that the answer? Are they top of the league, Nice?
Nah, they're not anymore. But, sorry. Tell a lie. As it stands, I'm being ultra anal there and ultra pedantic. I think PSG are winning. So if it stays like that, PSG go back to the top or go top of the league. But I get your point. Technically, they are top of the league. I think he's talking about, I presume he's talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe? Or is he talking about one of the players? Sorry, no. He'll be talking about one of the players, not Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Forgive me. Okay. He was the kid from Nice that we're being linked with.
Todobi or
Todobi.
Todobi, yeah. I think we've been linked with him quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, there might be something in that. I don't know.
Right.
Is there a conflict? Is there a conflict of interest though? If Jim Ratcliffe starts selling us Nice's best players?
What's the deal, man? Where are we at? Just give us a quick summary, guys, if someone can, about this takeover, because I've lost it. I've lost my way. Where are we at right now on November the 3rd? It was almost a year to the day where we announced we're going to sell the club. So just a quick summary about where we're at with this sell the club and who's still involved.
It wasn't announced we were selling, was it? Only we were a bit sneaky with it. It was strategic alternatives. You remember, everyone took that as a sale. Then we went through all this bidding process, and the reports were that they didn't quite get the big bid they wanted. And now the latest today is that Jim Ratcliffe is going to invest, is it 400 or 245 million as part of his own money, as part of this 25% stake in the club he's got. So that's where we're up to in a minute. I think that money is going to be going into the infrastructure, I think the reports were.
Yeah, the stadium and the training grounds and everything else, yeah.
Doesn't sound like a lot of money if you're talking about stadiums, is it? So it's just a refurb.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get a new stadium for 245 million, because I think that the price touted was about $1 billion, I think, or 700 or something million. But you can have a decent revamp. I mean, I'm hoping this is the first step towards sorting out the mess that is Manchester United, because it's not just the playing squad. Like Dora was saying there, the training ground needs development. You know, it's not been touched for 23 years, other than cutting down some trees and putting them back up again and stuff like that, cutting the grass. And the stadium, it's leaking all the time. If you sit down, your legs are squat. You've got no chance of Monday, the height you are. There's no way you're sitting down at Old Trafford. Forget about that. So, it's embarrassing. As a United fan, I like to think of my club as one of the biggest in the world, certainly the biggest in England. And we haven't got a stadium that reflects that.
But there was a poll done the other day, and we were 4th in the Premier League about best stadiums. There was a number of criteria about the atmosphere, the view, the pitch, the access, and that kind of thing. And overall, when you weighed up all the categories, we were 4th. And I thought that's a bit surprising, considering all the beef we get about the stadium falling apart, you know. But you go.
I think there might be something there in the sense that we're a historic stadium. It's one of the oldest stadiums I think we've got the biggest capacity of any Premier League club still, with 75,000. I'm not sure what Spurs is, I can't remember, but certainly up there. And it is Old Trafford, so people like, especially visiting fans, like, oh, it's Old Trafford. It's it's an iconic stadium. But I think in terms of the facilities, in terms of the structure, in terms of the stadium itself, I've been to stadiums all over the world, and I don't think it's anywhere near one of the. I'm certainly I've been to stadiums in the Premier League. I know we all have, and I don't think it's anywhere near one of the best stadiums. It's certainly not in the top 4. And I think if you look at even any modern stadium, is much better than Old Trafford in terms of the actual structure and facilities there. So I think that a lot of that might just be because of the status of Old Trafford rather than the actual building itself, if that makes sense.
So Matthew Bassett's saying here, 245 million into the stadium and training facilities, it won't cover half the issues at Old Trafford and Carrington as well. So I don't think that's a lot of money either. All right, let's get on to this. So the manager had a press conference today. Obviously, we both discussed what happened, what's been happening this season, which has been really poor. Now, you're a journalist as well, Jade. A couple of questions here. There's Dora as well. I like what the journalists are dropping him, because he was stuttering a bit today. He seemed a bit on edge, the manager. So they said to him that he said after the Newcastle game that he's a fighter, talking about Ten Hag. He said he's still a fighter. And they questioned it, said, but people question the character of your players. Do you believe they got the fight to get you out of this position? What do you think of that question, that line of questioning? Because what's he supposed to say to that? I mean, Dora, what's he supposed to say to that about questioning the player's character?
I mean, look, in the past, some of those managers, when they were on the edge, threw players under the bus. Ragnick, he threw the whole club under the bus. Ragnick, Mourinho, in his after the Sevilla game, he was insane with how he threw everyone under the bus. But the players are fishing. The journalists are fishing for drama and all that. And United is much, even though United are in a really bad situation right now. I mean, Manchester United Football Club is always, how do you say it, attracting clicks, and they're trying to get some drama and all that. I mean, even as a foreign fan, I mean, I've been, following the English media and all that. It was always the same. I mean, it was the same 15 years ago, 10 years ago. It's the same now, right? It's always that. So, I mean, they're fishing for, him slipping because, Dutch people are quite, how do you say it? They say they're really direct. They say what they think before even thinking maybe about it. And, maybe they wanted something from him in terms of maybe he will missay something and that will be interpreted differently. And yeah, I think that he said the right thing.
If I put a question to you, Dora, so you're the manager, I'm putting the question to you. Do you actually think the players have lost some fight?
Well, I've been having issues with this squad for a while. Even during the Mourinho days, the locker room issues, the leaks and all that, I didn't like it at all. And I think some of the players got off easily, in my opinion. But Newcastle game, I saw them running. I saw some kind of effort, but the execution was quite insanely poor. So I don't necessarily think that. I thought after City game that he absolutely lost the locker room. Yesterday, they seemed, or 2 days ago, they seemed a bit better. But I don't know with this team. Like I truly don't know. I truly don't know. But fair play to him, saying, you know what, everything is good. They're positive. They're fighting, and I respect that for him. But I could discuss squad and this locker room for days. And do I think that he fully lost the dressing room? I don't think so. But, that Watford game with Ole, we thought that he didn't lose, but apparently he lost it after that game. So, because they gave up. And I think that if this continues, we will see that as well. And he will get sacked. So we will see. But I don't think that's the case right at this moment.
Because the response there was the manager said, referred to the Brentford game, said, if that's not evidence enough that there's character and they're still fighting, then there you go, coming back to win 2-1 with Tommy scoring goals. You're a journalist now, Jay. What do you think of this sort of line of questioning? I think that's a good question to fire at him because obviously he's going to defend the players, you'd think. But and what's your view? Be honest now about the players. Are they fighting? Is it an issue here of the players not having the character?
I mean, listen. A lot of the time, with certain journalists, they know that they're not going to get an answer, much of an answer for certain questions, but they want to get their question out there. They want that question to be heard. And I actually thought Eric Ten Hag came out fighting today in the press conference. He looked like he was up for it. He looked quite passionate, like he had that fire in his belly. And you want to see that. I've seen it. I've been in press conferences before where managers look done in. They look like they've had enough. They've checked out, and they're a bit sort of monosyllabic, or the body language isn't great, or they're not really engaging. But with Eric Ten Hag, he gave quite long answers to a lot of the questions, and he's trying to explain his tactics and certain decisions. And I thought he was defending his players quite well as well when he was asked about the January transfer window, and he said, I'm not looking at players that aren't here. I've got the players here. I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I've got the players here that I need. I've got good players there. I thought that was the right thing to say. So that all sort of made sense to me. In terms of the players and whether they're fighting for this manager, you'd like to think so. I hear what Dora's saying, because a lot of these players, they've been here for a little while now, and they've been through, at least most of them, sort of 3 managers, well, 4. If you go back to Mourinho, if you go back to Ralph Rangnick, I know he was only on a temporary basis, but a lot of them almost look like they're down tools. Go back to Ole, of course, when things started going wrong there was a real lack of effort amongst certain players. And I always think that as a player, you must have a little bit of sort of pride and self-reflection where you go in, we can't keep getting rid of managers. We can't keep looking at managers and giving up with managers. We've got to get our heads together. We've got to pull our socks up and get on with it, because some of these players, like you look at Luke Shaw, for example, I know he's injured in a minute. What is he, 28, 29? He's been here for 8 years. And what's he won? He hasn't won any titles. He hasn't won any Champions League. Marcus Rashford's been in the team now, playing for Manchester United for 8 years, and he's never won a title. He's never won a Champions League or or been near one, really, a major one.
Yeah.
And he must go away with England and see Trent Alexander-Arnold, see Jordan Henderson, who's not even that amazing, if you ask me, see John Stones, see Phil Foden, see all these players that he's known for years, that he's played in the England team for years, who have won everything. Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford scored 30 goals last season. You got a Carabao Cup to show for it. You go on an England squad and meet up with someone like Jack Grealish, who's just won a treble. It's got to hurt you a little bit, I think. It's got to just, do you know what I mean? Make you think, what's going on? And I think if your attitude towards that is, well, if I don't put the effort in and this manager goes, then another manager might come in who's better, who gets, more out of this team and wins things, then you're kidding yourself. So I like to think it's players losing a bit of confidence rather than losing a bit of effort. I think that might be the case, but it's difficult to be too sympathetic towards these players because, like Dora said, we've been here before. We've been here before with Van Gaal. We've been here before with Jose Mourinho. I mean, we've been here before with Moyes. We've got to go back even further. Been here before with Ole. Been here before with Ralph Rangnick. Been here before, or been here now with Ten Hag. Where you look at those players and they don't look like they're trying, and that's it's not good enough. We need to see more.
I saw you on Twitter the other day, Jay, post something about newspaper articles with the headline being that players are despair. They're in despair about the training methods or just trying to undermine the management. And it's similar from under each manager. There was a similar kind of quote coming from.
Yeah, do you want me to read it?
Yes, please. Yeah, let's give us a little perspective about that.
So there was a story in, I think it was the Mail the other day. Some of these newspapers, for starters, you might not believe these newspapers, right? You might think this is all nonsense. These are journalists mischief making or whatever. But these are the stories that we've had. So the other day we had Manchester United players fear Eric Ten Hag's hardline approach is affecting team morale, with stars feeling that internal conflicts are damaging squad unity amid dismal start to the season. So that was from, I think it was from the Mail this week. About 18 months ago, you had Man United players unhappy with Ralph Rangnick's training and comparing his assistant to Ted Lasso.
That. Yeah.
That was in the Metro.
Yeah.
Ted Lasso.
Great headline. Whoever writes it is very good, yeah.
Then, I think 3 months before that headline, you had this is in the Mirror, I think, group of Man United players unhappy with senior coach after juvenile sessions. Manchester United have had a disappointing season in the Premier League today as pressure cranks up on Ole. So they're unhappy with Ole and his coaching staff. Then 2 years before that, or 2 and a bit years before that, in the ESPN, I think it was, Manchester United players reportedly unhappy after Jose Mourinho criticism. So you've just had this every few years or every year, every manager, players unhappy. Not happy with the training, not happy with the manager's attitude, not happy with the manager's criticism, not happy with the coaching sessions, not happy with the coaches, not happy with whatever. And how many times are you going to keep blaming the manager before you go, hang on a minute? Is it just you've got a group of players or an atmosphere or just a trait at the club where fundamentally people just aren't up for it? They're not up for that battle, that slog that you need to be up for if you're going to win a title. That as soon as a manager comes in and starts pushing them too hard, they're like, oh. Now, I will say this. This time last year, after we lost 4-0 to Brentford, and they said Ralph Rangnick, Ten Hag famously comes back into training the next day, calls them all into training and makes them all run 13 kilometres. And he does it with him because he said the Brentford players have outrun us by 13 kilometres. And the players responded to that. So I'm not saying that all these players don't respond to a bit of pushing or whatever. And last season, I think, was a good season, finishing third and winning a Carabao Cup. But it always seems like second season or whatever, players seem to tail off under a manager. And that's something that needs to be fixed.
So where are we at? We've just heard those headlines. Where are we at with how we're thinking about this? The newspapers are trying to suggest that, don't blame the players. There's something going on internally with the management. And we're thinking, well, hold on a minute. What's going on here? We're watching the games here. Who's responsible? Isn't the manager responsible for getting the players on side or to deliver good training, that kind of thing? Or is it down to, like the newspapers are saying, is it down to the management being inadequate to manage Manchester United Football Club? Because you've got some good names you just read out there. I mean, Mourinho, Ole was, okay, as they say. But
wow,
where are you at with that, guys? Dora, where you at with these newspaper reports? Do you believe that the players are moaning? Because I heard today as well that someone was saying when the manager starts, wanting to get pressure and all that kind of things. The players usually leak something. As a chairman, you go and speak to the players or something and find out what's going on. You know, if there's a bit of disharmony, and that's what's kind of coming out with that newspaper report from the Mail.
I mean, it's hard, right? I think both players and management need to find the middle ground and, you know, talk it out. And I know, you know, in the old days you had, you know, manager had, you know, he's the authority. Everyone needs to listen to him. Sir Alex Ferguson did that amazingly well. He established the identity of the team. You know, everyone is equal, and, you know, we are going to fight for each other. We are family, and we are going to, you know, win trophies and be the best as we can. Obviously, in the modern, you know, Manchester United, that doesn't work, right? You have players who are on, you know, on 300K a week after one good season. The board is consistently giving out, you know, those huge wages to the players who, in my opinion, some of them didn't deserve it, you know, because, you know, they kind of turn up when they are, you know, when they need to, you know, extend the contract, they are playing really well. After that, they are having 2 bad years, 2 bad seasons. And that has been the case since even Louis van Gaal. So I think that, you know, the players need to step up. They need to showcase that they are willing to succeed at this club, because I think that most of them, you know, I don't want to be rude. I think most of them believe that they made it because they came to Manchester United. Well, you didn't made it because you didn't win anything. That's my issue with this team. Yes, you are in the biggest club in the world. Manchester United is a brand that, you know, everyone recognizes, everyone knows. That club is the biggest in the world, in my opinion. But if you sign for this club, doesn't it mean that you need to showcase that you are made for it? Because, you know, even with, for example, in the past, we, you know, the likes of, you know, Harry Maguire, you know, Luke Shaw, you know, Romelu Lukaku at times, you know, saying, oh, you know, we believe in our abilities. You know, they had some, you know, in the past statements where they indicated, oh, you know, we are good because we are playing, blah, blah, blah. We have good stats and training. You know, the manager picks me, blah, 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 all that same stuff. But why don't you, you know, showcase that throughout the whole season? The same goes for the management. Look, Ten Hag isn't blameless here. He obviously has, how do you say it, issues with establishing some kind of, I don't know, I think he is struggling with implementing his philosophy. And you know what? He seems like a really, how do you say it, a direct manager.
Yeah.
He's really direct. I mean, he says it as it is. He's blunt. And I think that he doesn't like, you know, people, or how do you say it, players slacking off. Because you will look at his Ajax teams, the way they played, everyone ran except the goalkeeper. Everyone ran in that team. His whole play, you know, gameplay was centered about, you know, around the movement in the midfield and the attack. I mean, I'm seeing, what are we seeing from Manchester United this season, especially? So what is the problem? Is it the Sancho problem? Is it the Ronaldo problem from last season? Is it the Anthony problem? I mean, look, how do you say it? This season, because we played pretty poorly, and Rashford, for example, in this case, Marcus Rashford has been really poor, especially since Jadon Sancho has been suspended by the club. So I saw some things in, you know, on social media saying that, you know, how do you say, conspiracy theory, that, you know, he's sulky because his friend is not playing, and maybe he feels that, you know, he was shunned out, you know, he didn't deserve it and all that. I mean, that's none of your business. Like, you are fighting for you. Like, I'm going to be honest with you. The legacy of some of these players are on really thin ice, especially after, you know, consistent and multiple failings in the last seasons. Because I will be completely honest with you. This squad has been failing. I've seen some really poor mentality since Mourinho days. And I think that fan base finally realized that there are some bad apples, especially with the leaks during Ragnick, during all the days. Constant leaks from the locker room. That's an issue. Management needs to work out those bad apples, those leaks. The leaks needs to stop. For the love of God, I haven't seen more. I mean, they are leaking like a, you know, broken pipe in a bathroom, that locker room. Every single time there is a bad patch of form or anything, there are always leaks. You know what? I believe them. I believe that there are some of the English, I like some of the English players who are consistently leaking to the journalists. Ban the journalists from the locker rooms, ban the leagues. Establish some authority in the locker room. And it seems to me that that's non-existent, because even today I'm seeing Athletic, I think, said that, the players don't believe in his style. The players feel like the internal situation caused them, some of the wins. It affected the atmosphere and all that. Like, is this a soap opera, or is this a football? You focus on you, try to be the best, and try to establish some kind of connection with the manager. The same goes from Ten Hag and Van de Gaag and McLaren and those guys. You need to establish that connection with the players, because this cannot continue. Like, I know that we need to be bad to be good again, but my God, like, this club has invested 500 million euros in this squad, and we are absolutely lost. And
okay,
the
there's
players and
a
the
point
manager
in the
needs to.
press conference. They talked about Ajax. They referred to Ajax and their identity, and they were asked him, because after the Man City game, it was said that you couldn't play at Man United the way Ajax played, and is that because most people think they're basically saying you couldn't play at Man United the way Ajax played? Is that right? Because most people think you came here because of the way Ajax played. So, and he said, I came here with my philosophy based on possession, but I also combine it with the DNA of Manchester United and the players and the characters. And he said, gave example for last year, we saw that we played some very good football. But this season, the philosophy is no different. But he said he wants to emphasize that people trying to say play more direct is not necessarily the case. We want to press from different blocks and then go direct. So he mentioned players like Rashford, Rasmus, and Anthony as well. So we've signed him because of the success at Ajax. We're not seeing the same brand of football, but is that to be accepted because we've got different players and he's trying to incorporate a Premiership style with what's he knows from the past with possession-based football? Ajax, Jay, what do you reckon about that? And the question as well. You heard the quote about Ajax.
Yeah, I think he was getting a little bit defensive around it, trying to explain it. But there is a part of me that has been surprised that we haven't seen more of that style that we saw at Ajax, with the fullbacks getting forward all the time, with that sort of high press and the way that, if you remember that Ajax running the Champions League, when you had like Dusan Tadic look like one of the best players you've ever seen. Yeah. And then you had players like Ziyech, and you had, who else was there? Was it De Jong and Van der Beek and was it Haller? I think was it. It was up front. I can't remember the exact team, but you had a lot of Ziyech and you had obviously De Ligt as well was there. You had really good young, exciting. Not some of the players were a little bit older, but quite a lot of young players as well. Really enjoyable to watch, and the football was free flowing, and it was just exciting. We haven't really seen that week in, week out since Erik ten Hag's arrived. Even last season, we didn't see that kind of style a lot of the games. Now, I don't think it matters as much if you're winning. I go back to the Liverpool game at Old Trafford last season. After we lost to Brentford, I know I keep referencing it, but it was a real turning point early doors. If you looked at that Liverpool game, that was nothing like the style we've seen at Ajax. It wasn't high press. It wasn't possession-based. It was hoofing it long a lot of the time. It was Jadon Sancho. It was Marcus Rashford. It was Andy Martial hitting on the break. A lot of the time, Liverpool getting at us with the likes of Salah and other players. And we countered and we went long, but we got the win. No one cared about the style. I was at that game. No one left that game after just beating Liverpool thinking, we won, but we didn't really play the Ajax way, so that don't count. No one cared. No one cared when we beat City at Old Trafford, where we were under the cosh for a lot of it. We were losing 1-0, and we came back, and again, there was a lot of counter-attacking in that. I'm not saying we were only a counter-attacking team, but there was an element of that. No one cared. We'd beaten City. That was the main thing. That was the important thing. We'd got the win. So if you win, the scrutiny isn't there about your style. A lot of pundits and the media didn't scrutinize Sir Alex Ferguson's style when we were winning football matches.
Yeah.
They didn't go, oh, what's his style? What's his philosophy? What's his ethos? Different Fergie teams had a different way of playing. It wasn't a massive thing. The reason he gets scrutinized is because you're not winning and you've not got the style that you're famous for. And it's a little bit disappointing that we've not seen more of that. In Ten Hag's defense, I will say one thing, though. He pointed out the other day when he was asked about it, and I think he mentioned it today as well. When you're constantly changing players, that doesn't help. And the back four has changed constantly. Lisandro Martinez, I know I keep going on about him. And even to a lesser extent, like Dorian mentioned, Rafael Varane, so key to try to play out from the back. So important. When you lost Martinez, that was a big loss for me. And then Luke Shaw as well, who's very, very good getting forward with the ball, brings out the best in Marcus Rashford. He's been missing practically all season. So you are missing key players. You've not got loads of injuries. You've got a few, but it's the nature of those injuries. Shaw and Martinez in particular at the back there massively help us play the way that I think Erik Ten Hag wants to play. So I understand why he gets a bit defensive. But if I'm being brutally honest, I think if we were to win tomorrow, I wouldn't be overly fussed about the style. I'd be more bothered about getting a win. We need to start winning football matches. Seriously, because you cannot carry on with more defeats. What is it?
I mean, how
7
bad
defeats is it this season so far or something? Ridiculous.
Well, we played 15 games. We lost 8 of them. And
8? I got it the wrong way around. Sorry.
5 out of 10
we'd won
games
8.
at home. We've lost 5 out of 10 games at home. This since 1930-31. This is the worst we've ever started a game. Started a season, sorry. Last 2 seasons, last season we only lost 2 games. That was early in the season as well. And then we went on to go on a good run after that. So there's still hope that we could sort of turn this around.
At Old Trafford, I think our record last season was we lost to Brighton and we lost to Sociedad. And then we didn't lose again.
Yeah, that's right.
Old Trafford.
So there's hope.
Great. Yeah. I seen a video of myself talking, someone shared it, last season, saying how much I enjoyed going to Old Trafford. It was towards the end of last season because we kept winning. I said, I love going to Old Trafford. I'm enjoying it again. And my point wasn't because I was loving the style of football. It's because we kept winning. And if you win, people are happy. But we're not winning. And the football's terrible. So it's the worst of both worlds.
So the style doesn't matter at the end of the day, really, does it? It's just about being effective and winning games.
It's not as important. For me, it's not as important. Of course, it matters to a certain degree. But my point I was trying to make is it's not as important if you're winning. People don't get hung up on the style. Not a lot of people questioned Ten Hag's style last season. And I don't think last season we played a lot like Ajax. I don't think we did. No. But because we were winning, people didn't mind as much. It's when you stop winning and you're losing football matches, and then people go, hang on a minute. Why are we not playing like the way that Erik Ten Hag's famous for? And why are we losing matches as well? What is the point in this? That's when it starts getting difficult to explain.
As you can see here, question from Big T saying, after 18 months at the club, should a manager have a visible, solid style, regardless of whether it works or not? The manager in the press conference did say he's got a style, and he thinks, like Jay was saying there, once we got all the players back and we've had a few injuries and everything, maybe it will work then. So I think we have to judge him a bit later. Jay, could you not have borrowed Joe Prisoner's ice cream parlor baseball outfit for tonight?
Yeah, Joe Smith on the Paddock, my partner in crime. He wears some interesting outfits, and one of them is like a cross between an ice cream parlor worker and a baseball player, or a man who's just about to open a theme park that features dinosaurs. It's all sorts.
Do you rib him about it?
The comments are brutal.
All right.
We did a live video, right, about transfers for 45 minutes once, and we spent 40 minutes of it talking about Joe's outfit. And I was reading out all the comments, and people were trolling him. And we dedicated the whole video to that. So I tried to stick up for him because he's my boy, but sometimes it's indefensible.
Big up Alex. He's saying, in my opinion, Ollie football is the best style and closest to the Man United way since Fergie left. It was time for him to go, but he didn't deserve the backlash he got from all the people. Steve H is saying here, this is the lowest I've seen the great club, worst run club in the Premier League. Big up DK Wilson. I wonder if the players care about being as good as they can be, like they were in previous generations. They say the right things, but they don't act the part either. Just a couple down here. NT, how you doing? He said these players could go on to win the league, and they will still be my least favourite Man United team since I was born. That just shows you where we're at right now. Matthew Bassett saying here, our players can't even do the basics properly. Never mind the Ajax brand of football. And I'm going to finish up with this one here. It's definitely saying here, the difference with Ajax and United is Ajax had no stars, just team ethic and effort. Players leave Ajax and become individual stars. And the question here that we just kind of covered, I think, after 18 months, we just said that. All right, worst start in 60 years. It's really bad. It's really bad. I want to ask a couple of questions. Guys, get your questions in for guys on the panel. And if it's ask it with a big Q so we know it's a question for the panel. But I've got questions for you guys here. Has our squad improved? We came third last season. Has our squad improved since last season? And do you think that if you're looking at our squad compared to our rivals, we want top four, I imagine. If you look at the top six sides, like even including Villa, Newcastle, with the big 4 or 5 teams there are out there, do you think player for player we've got a good enough squad? Is it so? Would another manager come in and work wonders with our squad, for example? Dora?
I think on the paper, yes, because you look at the profiles of the players. Onana had a great stint at Inter Milan. Mount was solid in Chelsea. I think most of the Chelsea fans were quite sad that he went, especially to Manchester United. Højlund was a prospect. Who did we sign? Johnny Evans. Okay, he was a squad player because the injury-prone Varane and Martinez would likely to be, benched at some point of the season, or because of relaxation or injuries or whatever. So, I mean, I was hyped up. I thought that we improved a lot. I bought into it, but I think on the paper, yes, but on the field, that's a different story. Especially, I mean, against Newcastle, we saw, their C team running ragged against us, and it hurt a lot. It really hurt a lot.
What about the Brighton manager? Do you think he can come in and work wonders with our players? He's doing a good job with a lower budget.
I don't know. Maybe honeymoon phase we would be good, but I think that the club is so poorly run and so rotten to the core that in the end he would fail as well, in my opinion. Like, we need to change. We need to change up top to actually progress in the future.
Jay, why is it that Spurs can sell Harry Kane and getting a new manager and already be delivering a good brand of football, and it seemed to be have an identity already? What's the difference there? Is he a genius, this manager?
We've seen. Do you know what I compare Postecoglou to going into Spurs? I compare him a little bit to Ollie when he took over from Jose at United. I think what Postecoglou's got into there is, and I'm not trying to sort of dismiss what he's done because it's great, but sometimes going in to a club that's at a low ebb, that's had a manager that everyone hated, who's ostracized some good players, it can be to your advantage because you can go in there and you can go, okay, look, I'm not the sort of aloof, aggressive, moody manager that you've been dealing with for the last 2 seasons or whatever it was. Who've fallen out with everyone. I'm going to come in, I'm going to put my arm around players, I'm going to encourage players. Everyone buys into what he's trying to do. Yves Bissouma has been massive for Spurs. Conte didn't fancy him. Postecoglou's brought him back into the side. He's doing very well. They've bought well in the transfer market. The defender, whose name escapes me, is it the young Dutch lad? He looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Mickey van der Ven. Van der Ven.
Yeah, really good. Very quick, very, very, he just fits straight in, looks amazing. James Maddison is absolutely shining. Yes, they've lost Harry Kane, but Heung-min Son stepped up. He's having a much better season this season than he had last season. Yeah. So I think there's been an element of, you're not Conte, everyone enjoys playing for you, everyone enjoys training, everyone's got a smile on their face, the signings have worked. There's that real sort of happiness in the squad and everyone's buzzing as a positivity. What I want to see with Postecoglou is, when they get to some difficult results, if you get a couple of losses, can you keep going? Can you bounce back from that? Or does it unravel a little bit? Because if you remember with Ollie, we had a record-breaking run when he took over as caretaker.
That's right.
We won
13 games.
12 out of our first 14 or whatever it was. And we beat Paris Saint-Germain when we were 2 goals down in the quarter-finals or the second round of the Champions League. No team had ever done that, come back from 2-0 down at home. After that game, and it's on video, unfortunately, I got carried away and I was thinking we were going to win the Champions League and we were going to do all sorts of manners. Do you know what I mean? And we were going to do everything.
Find it.
Yeah, honestly, I was so excited. And after Paris, we went on the worst run we've had in 50 years or something. We lost 10 of the next 14 or something like that. We were terrible. And we finished 6th. And we got knocked out of the Champions League by Barcelona. We got knocked out of the FA Cup by Wolves. it was awful because once we started losing football matches, we couldn't turn it around. Yeah. We lost 1 or 2 players as well, to be fair, but we were so reliant on those players. And we were so reliant on that sort of good vibes and the positivity and the momentum that when the momentum went and a couple of players were missing, it fell apart now. I'm not saying that will happen with Postecoglou, but my point is it'll be interesting to see how he copes or how that team copes. If they lose a Maddison, if Son is out for a month, if they lose back-to-back games, have they got the character, the resolve to bounce back? Then we can judge him. I think it's far too soon right now.
Too early then. All right, guys, let's make this punchy. Got a few questions from people in the comments. Quick one. Zoe Media House is asking, is Ten Hag the future? Quick one. I'm saying yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a yeah.
I mean, if the structure above him changes, absolutely.
I agree with that.
Completely. Not a question, but I'm just going to read this out because Harry David's in the house. He said, substance over style. We didn't play well or with style at Nou Camp in 99. It didn't matter when the final whistle went. So the
worst game ever. The worst 90 minutes ever. Honestly, we were terrible for 90 minutes. We were. I've seen people on Twitter saying, I'm just sitting down to watch the 99 final again. Why? Watch the last 2 minutes. The first 90 are awful.
Here's a question.
No one cares about that because we won.
Daddy's saying here, Arteta, this is, I think, the league positions from his first few seasons. 5th, twice 8th. Wow. 5th and now 2nd. Fergie's gone 11th, 2nd, 13th. Wow. 8th, 6th and 2nd. Klopp, 4 years. Why do fans believe media hype that Ten Hag should be winning in his 2nd season? It's a good point, no?
No, it's a good point. I agree. We spoke about that. Fergie in his 3rd season went 14 games without a win. Can you imagine that now?
14. That's sackable.
From November to February.
Jesus. And any reason why? Does anyone recall what was going on? Was it injuries or any kind of issues back
Injuries. But the thing with Fergie in that season, it was the season he won the FA Cup, which saved his job. But he'd done a lot behind the scenes in terms of the structure of the club, the scouting, the youth. So the board, so Bobby Charlton apparently was one of his biggest supporters as well, God rest him, were like, look, the results are going to pot, but long term, you've set things in place that are moving the club forward. So they bought into what he was trying to do. So he got away with it. But had we not won the FA Cup, he probably would have got sacked. But we did win the FA Cup and he kept his job. And then the next season, won the European Cup Winners' Cup and the rest is history.
29 watching, please press the like button. Dora, what do you think about this? I mean, should we give him more time based on looking at Arteta, look at Fergie as well? Is that a yes?
I mean, yeah, but again, I mean, Arteta had Edu. I think Fergie was, one of a kind. He, as Jay said, he made everything happen behind the scenes. So that's why everything clicked in the end. But we need a director of football. Please, I beg anyone, please just employ someone because he cannot recruit by himself. That has been, obvious, especially with his recruitments this and last season.
Okay, so next question here. Big T saying, has Højlund flopped or will he score the expected 15 goals in the Premier League? How many has he got at the moment?
He's got none in the Premier League at the moment. He's got 3 in the Champions League. He's not flopped. He's a young 20-year-old. We're over-reliant on him already. He's a good player, Rasmus Højlund. He's just not a player that's going to get you 15 Premier League goals this season. He's just not. And I don't know if it was fair to expect that from him, to be honest.
Yeah, we're still a long way to go. I like what I see so far. And Big T saying here again, remind me that has a manager ever come in and ever won the league in his first season in the Prem? Maybe one of these Chelsea managers, didn't they? He didn't. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, come up to an hour. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks for your questions as well. And Jay, thank you for appearing again. Hopefully we get to see you again soon. What have you got lined up for the weekend? Where are you watching the game?
I'm doing a watch along tomorrow morning. So I don't know if you guys are doing one. Don't want to rain on your parade if you're doing one. If you are, then obviously
we want to see you.
People can go, and I'm not going to come on the channel and advertise a video that's on the same time as yours. That's horrible. I'd be fuming if someone came on Paddock and said, don't watch Jay's video, watch mine on my channel. I'd be like, whoa, you ain't coming back on here. So when people have finished watching your content tomorrow, then they can jump on Paddock and come and watch me afterwards. Yeah, that's how we do it. But no, it's been a pleasure. It's nice to meet you, Dora, as well. Spoke a lot of sense. Lovely chatting to you. Always a pleasure, Monday. And
Thank you, Jim.
yeah, I'll try not to leave it too long next time as well.
Good stuff. Dora, hopefully you enjoy the game tomorrow and come on maybe for the post-match review.
I will see. If I feel good, I will let you know. Bedtime he is always having me on speed dial. So yeah, I will probably tell him.
Half time,
yeah.
enjoy the game. He's going down to Craven Cottage as well to watch the game live. So hopefully we get some feedback as well.
Yeah, maybe
guys,
we'll talk.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Big up to Jay, big up to Dora, and we will be back tomorrow, obviously, for the watch along and the post match review as well. So big up, enjoy your evening, and good night.